Hello and welcome to The Word, bringing you the good news of Jesus Christ every day from the order of preachers around the world. Today we celebrate the memorial of St Ignatius of Loyola, founder of the Jesuits. And from Jamaica, we hear from Father Bede Mullins, who works in Kingston as a school teacher, university chaplain, and master of pre-novices. His preaching today is entitled, Take, Lord, Receive All My Liberty.
A reading from the prophet Jeremiah. In the beginning of the reign of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, this word came from the Lord. Thus says the Lord, Stand in the court of the Lord's house, and speak to all the cities of Judah that come to worship in the house of the Lord, all the words that I command you to speak to them. Do not hold back a word. It may be they will listen, and every one turn from his evil way, that I may relent of the disaster that I intend to do them because of their evil deeds. You shall say to them, Thus says the Lord, if you will not listen to me, to walk in my law that I have set before you, and to listen to the words of my servants the prophets, whom I send to you urgently. Though you have not listened, then I will make this house like Shiloh, and I will make this city a curse for all the nations of the earth. The priests and the prophets and all the people heard Jeremiah speaking these words in the house of the Lord. And when Jeremiah had finished speaking all that the Lord had commanded him to speak to all the people, then the priests and the prophets and all the people laid hold of him, saying, You shall die. Why have you prophesied in the name of the Lord, saying, This house shall be like Shiloh, and this city shall be desolate without inhabitant? And all the people gathered around Jeremiah in the house of the Lord. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. As a child, I was instructed after Holy Communion to read the prayers given at the back of our service books, and 3 of them I found ended up committed to memory from repetition. It was the prayer of St Richard of Chichester, the famous prayer attributed to St Francis of Assisi, Make me a channel of your peace, and a prayer of St Ignatius of Loyola, who we celebrate today. The prayer of St Ignatius runs like this. Teach us, dear Lord, to serve you as you deserve, to give and not to count the cost, to fight and not to heed the wounds, to toil and not to seek for rest, to labour and to ask for no reward, save that of knowing that we do your holy will. It still bears the traces of a promising military career, devastated by a cannonball which, in one go, shattered Ignatius's leg and his dreams of martial prowess. In the period of convalescence that followed, as Ignatius waited for his leg to knit itself back together, he had to piece his life together once more. The spirit of a soldier remained, but at the end of this time Ignatius no longer meant to take orders from an earthly general. He was reconstituted, first as a man of prayer and penance, then as a pilgrim, later as a theological student and priest, and of course, by the end of his life as a saint. Ignatius's prayer sounds highly self-abnegatory, and the constitutions he wrote for the Society of Jesus, which he founded, used even more shocking language about the obedience expected of its members. The Jesuit, they stipulated, should be carried and directed by divine providence through the agency of the superior, as if he were a corpse which allows itself to be carried to any place and to be treated in any manner desired. But obedience to God, and even obedience to a superior under God, is not straightforwardly like obedience to an earthly power, or even obedience to our own whims and desires. If Ignatius had remained obedient to the standard of the world, he would have been a write-off at the age of 30, useless as a soldier, and deprived of the career and good looks and worldly pride that made him the envy of others. God, however, is the very giver and source of our freedom. Obedience in God's service can never exhaust the gift, but invites its constant renewal. Another well-known prayer of Ignatius expresses this insight. It says, Take, Lord, and receive all my liberty, my memory, my understanding, and my entire will, all I have and call my own. You have given all to me. To you, Lord, I return it. Everything is yours. Do with it what you will. Give me only your love and your grace. That is enough for me. Ignatius would give everything back to God in order to receive it again, full of God's love and grace. Freedom without this fulfillment would be an illusion and a sham. In many ways, especially looking at him from a Dominican point of view, Ignatius is a distinctively modern saint. His sense of the individual before God, his emphasis on the will and its obedience, the Counter-Reformation concerns of the Society of Jesus, its emphasis on being of practical use to the Church and her mission. All this sets Ignatius and the Jesuits apart from the forms of religious life which came before. But his understanding of human freedom does basically chime with Christian antiquity. The fathers of the desert maintained that the most needful virtue was always wise discretion or discernment. For Ignatius, who spent so much of his spiritual writings outlining the way to true discernment, for Ignatius, the willingness to surrender our will, a spirit of holy indifference, is just the prerequisite of truly wise discernment. It's the way we allow ourselves to be swayed by the Spirit of God rather than by the spirits of ego and selfish desire. A God to serve whom is perfect freedom, says an ancient prayer of the Mass. Ignatius, without anesthetic, endured the breaking and resetting of his bones. The sporadic savagery of his spirituality shouldn't make us shy away from the truth that all of us, somehow or other, must face the challenge of reordering our lives, finding how they fit together, how they fit back together, with the purpose of the one who gave us life and mind and will.